The observation deck of Outpost Epsilon 7 was silent at this hour. Elias Reeve stood alone, watching distant stars through the reinforced glass dome. 3 months into his diplomatic mission, the isolation was beginning to wear on him. Earth seemed impossibly far away now. Beautiful, aren't they? A melodic voice broke the silence. Elias turned, startled to find someone else awake during station night hours. His breath caught in his throat. Standing in the doorway was a Novalian, one of the mysterious alien race humanity had only established contact with last year. Her skin was a soft lavender that seemed to shimmer under the starlight, with delicate patterns swirling across her exposed shoulders. "I didn't mean to intrude," she said, taking a step back. "I can return later." "No, please," Elias gestured to the empty space beside him. "I'd welcome the company," she approached with fluid grace, moving as if the station's artificial gravity barely affected her. Up close, her eyes were mesmerizing, deep violet with flecks of silver that reminded him of the cosmos outside. "I'm Elias Reeve, Earth's cultural liaison," he introduced himself. Trying not to stare, "Zara," she replied with a slight bow. "Representative of the Novalian Diplomatic Corps. I didn't realize your delegation had arrived. Just today. Your station commander suggested we rest, but our circadian rhythms are ... different." A small smile played across her lips. I found myself wandering. They stood in companionable silence, watching a distant nebula pulse with cosmic energy. "Is it true," Zara asked finally, "that humans dream?" The question surprised him. "Yes, most of us do." "Don't Novalians?" She shook her head. "We experience something else's state called veil crossing, but dreams fascinate me." "What do you dream about, Elias Reeve?" Something about the way she said his name made his pulse quicken. "Home, mostly. The Pacific Ocean. Sometimes flying." "You miss your world." It wasn't a question. "Parts of it," he admitted. "But I volunteered for this assignment. The chance to meet other intelligent species. It's worth the sacrifice." Zara moved closer, studying him with undisguised curiosity. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Our briefing suggested humans were ... cautious, defensive." Her fingers brushed against the railing near his, almost touching. "You seem different." Elias felt warmth spreading through him. Whether it was from her proximity or something else, he couldn't tell. "Maybe I am." Hours passed as they talked about their worlds, Earth with its oceans and forests, Nova with its crystal cities and binary suns. Elias found himself captivated not just by her stories, but by her gestures, the musical lilt of her voice. As station dawn approached, Zara glanced toward the exit. "I should join my delegation before the formal introductions. Will you come back?" Elias asked before he could stop himself. "Tomorrow night, perhaps?" She studied him for a long moment, then stepped closer. The scent of her was otherworldly, like night-blooming flowers, and something impossible to define. She leaned closer and murmured, "Tell me to go, or I'm yours tonight." For several moments, Elias stood frozen, Zara's words hanging in the space between them. The rational part of his mind screamed caution. Interspecies protocol was strict. Diplomatic incidents, career-ending. But something deeper pulled him toward her. "Stay," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Zara's eyes shimmered with starlight as she closed the distance between them. "I hoped you would say that." Her touch was electric fingers, slightly cooler than a human's, trailing along his arm. Elias found himself trembling, not from fear, but from the intensity of her presence. "On Nova," she explained, guiding his hand to the patterns on her shoulder. "This is how we begin to know one another." The markings felt like velvet beneath his fingertips. Pulsing slightly with what he assumed was her heartbeat or whatever Novalians had instead. "These patterns tell our life stories," Zara continued. "This one shows my home province. These represent my achievements. And this... She guided his fingers to a pattern near her collarbone. "This one is still forming. It represents my current journey." "They're beautiful," Elias murmured. Mesmerized by the way they seemed to glow faintly at his touch, They spent hours exchanging cultural intimacies, Elias teaching her Earth customs. From handshakes to the significance of shared meals, Zara demonstrating the elegant hand gestures that formed part of Novalian language. Your species values physical connection, she observed as dawn approached. Yet your diplomatic protocols forbid it between our kinds. Elias sighed. Politics often contradicts human nature. Is that why your heart rate increases when I'm near? Political anxiety. There was teasing in her voice. He laughed, surprising himself. Not exactly. As the station's day cycle began, they reluctantly parted, agreeing to meet again after the formal diplomatic reception. What had begun as curiosity was quickly becoming something neither of them had anticipated. 2 weeks of secret midnight meetings had transformed Elias's life on Epsilon 7. By day, he maintained professional distance as Earth's liaison, discussing trade agreements and technological exchange with the Novalian delegation. By night, he and Zara explored each other's worlds through stories, customs, and increasingly intimate touches. Commander Davis is getting suspicious, Elias confessed one night, as they sat hidden in the station's small arboretum. He asked why I've been reviewing so much Novalian cultural material. Zara's expression grew serious, her violet eyes darkening with concern. My delegation leader has noticed changes in my biorhythms. She believes I'm having trouble adapting to your station's atmosphere. Are we being reckless? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Instead of replying, she took his hand and placed it over her chest, where he could feel a rhythmic vibration faster than a human heartbeat. With a complex pattern he couldn't quite follow. This is what you do to me, she said simply. No Novalian has ever resonated this way with a human before. The implications weren't lost on him. What they were developing wasn't just forbidden by protocol, it was unprecedented. The treaty negotiations conclude in 10 days, Elias said quietly. Your delegation will return to Nova, mine to Earth, unless we find another way. Determination flashed in her eyes. That night their cultural exchange deepened. Zara taught him the Novalian bonding ritual, a synchronization of breath and touch that left them both trembling. Elias showed her how humans expressed affection, his lips gently meeting hers in a kiss that seemed to startle and then delight her. Your species has wisdom in this, she whispered, against his mouth as they explored this new territory between their worlds. Alarm klaxons suddenly blared throughout the station. Emergency lights bathed them in harsh red pulses. Attention all personnel, Commander Davis's voice echoed. We have detected a critical failure in our shield generators. All diplomatic staff report to emergency shelters. Technical crew to their stations. Zara clutched Ilias's hand, her skin pulsing with alarmed patterns he'd never seen before. This isn't a malfunction, she whispered urgently. There are factions among my people who oppose alliance with humans. This bears their signature. Elias stared at her in shock. How do you know this? Because I was once part of their intelligence service before choosing diplomacy? Her eyes held his, unflinching. Trust me, Elias. Your people are in danger, and the blame will fall on mine unless we act now. The station shuddered around them as another explosion rocked the outer hull. Elias's communicator buzzed frantically with emergency protocols. I need to get to the command center, he said, already moving toward the door. If what you're saying is true, it is. Zara's voice was firm as she kept pace with him. The Purity faction believes cross-species cooperation dilutes our evolutionary path. They'll destroy this station and blame it on system failure rather than see our worlds. Unite. They raced through corridors now crowded with panicked personnel. Elias used his clearance to bypass security checkpoints. Zara closed behind him. Commander Davis, Elias called out as they burst into the command center. We have intelligence about the attack. Davis turned from the emergency console, his face hardening at the sight of Zara. This area is restricted to Earth personnel during crisis situations. Liaison Reeve. Sir, with respect, she has critical information. The shield failure isn't an accident, it's sabotage. While Davis hesitated, Zara stepped forward. Commander, I was formerly Novalian intelligence. The attack pattern matches Purity faction methodology. They've likely planted quantum destabilizers at these junction points. Her fingers flew across the nearest terminal, highlighting sections of the station's schematics. "How did you access our systems?" Davis demanded. "Your firewalls recognize my diplomatic credentials," she replied calmly. "But more importantly, there are 7 minutes before the destabilizers synchronize and create a catastrophic field collapse." Davis studied her for a long moment before turning to his security chief. "Verify these locations." Tense minutes followed as scan results confirmed Zara's analysis. Davis's expression shifted from suspicion to grim determination. "We need a containment team at each location immediately." "The junction in Sector 7 is already inaccessible," Zara warned. "The only approach is through the external maintenance shafts." Elias met her eyes, understanding passing between them. "I know those shafts. I can reach it." "Not alone," she countered. "The destabilizer requires Novalian neural patterns to deactivate." "This is insanity," Davis protested. "The radiation levels are within my tolerance," Zara insisted, "but Elias will need protection." What followed was a desperate race against time. Suited in the station's emergency EVA gear, Elias guided Zara through the labyrinthian external passages while station security teams tackled the other devices. The vacuum of space surrounded them, distant stars bearing witness to their struggle. Inside his helmet, Elias's breathing sounded unnaturally loud. Almost there. The maintenance hatch to Sector 7 appeared ahead. Surrounded by the telltale shimmer of radiation leakage, Zara moved with determination, her environmental suit modified to accommodate her physiological differences. "The destabilizer requires simultaneous deactivation," she explained through the CUM system. "Your hands on the physical components, mine on the neural interface." As they worked in perfect synchrony, their earlier intimacy transformed into something equally powerful, trust with lives at stake. When the destabilizer finally powered down, the relief was palpable. "We did it," Elias breathed, his gloved hand finding hers in the weightlessness. Through her helmet's visor, Zara's eyes shimmered with emotion. Together. Part 5. New Horizons, the diplomatic fallout from the attack, dominated the following days. Zara's delegation disavowed the Purity faction, while Earth authorities debated the security implications. Through endless debriefings and emergency meetings, Elias and Zara maintained professional distance, their private connection hidden behind formal titles and diplomatic language. 1 week after the crisis, Elias found himself once again on the observation deck, watching the stars. The station had been repaired, security protocols enhanced. Everything was returning to normal, except nothing felt normal anymore. "I hoped I'd find you here," Zara's voice came from behind him. He turned to see her standing in the doorway, no longer in her diplomatic attire, but dressed in simple civilian clothes. "I thought your delegation was preparing for departure," he said, his voice carefully neutral despite his racing pulse. "They are." She moved to stand beside him. "I've been reassigned." Elias felt his heart sink. "Back to Nova?" "No." A smile played across her lips. "To Earth?" He stared at her in disbelief. "What?" "After what happened, both governments realized they needed someone with insight into potential threats. Someone who understands both worlds." Her eyes held his. "I've been appointed as permanent liaison to your planet's Diplomatic Security Council." Elias tried to process what this meant. "You're coming to Earth?" "Unless you tell me not to." Vulnerability flickered across her features. "The assignment is voluntary. I can decline." The vastness of space seemed to hold its breath as he reached for her hands, his fingers intertwining with hers. "What about the protocols? The restrictions?" Zara's smile deepened. "Apparently saving a joint diplomatic mission earns certain ... exemptions. Our relationship has been classified as an ongoing cultural exchange initiative with top diplomatic priority. That's quite the bureaucratic loophole." Elias laughed, drawing her closer. "One that allows me to do this without filing paperwork." She leaned in, her lips finding his in a kiss that promised far more than diplomatic relations. Later, as they stood watching a shuttle depart with the remaining Novalian delegation, Elias felt a profound sense of wonder. The universe had conspired to bring together two beings from worlds light years apart. "What happens now?" he asked, his arm around her waist. Zara gazed out at the stars that separated her world from his. "Now we build a bridge between worlds. Beginning with us." As Epsilon 7 continued its silent orbit, two figures remained on the observation deck, silhouetted against the cosmos, neither fully in one world or the other, but creating something new together in the space between. "Tell me about Earth's oceans," Zara whispered. "I want to see them through your eyes first." Elias smiled, realizing this wasn't an ending but a beginning. "I'll show you everything," he promised. "We have time," and beyond the station windows, the universe stretched endlessly before them. Full of possibilities neither had imagined before, a chance meeting on a quiet observation deck changed everything.